Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new camp build. So, mixing things up from the usual scrappiness, I felt it was about time to throw a kind of neater, more modern build in there, albeit with a bit of a country look. So, let's jump into this one. So yeah, this is sort of based on a concept that I saw online a while back that was basically a converted mill that was sort of split into two halves like this, and I thought it was a cool look. So in our own Fallout kind of way, with a couple of little differences, obviously, I thought we'd recreate it. So before we have a look at where we are on the map, by the way, as a little FYI, just in case you missed it, there's been an absolute ton of Starfield news come out recently, which I have covered on the channel, so if you'd care to check that out, I'll throw some links up. But let's have a gander at where we are. Here is our modern cliffside house type thing, because I didn't know what to call it. Right next to Camp McClintock here, which is a place I'd kind of forgotten about. If you come up that road there, you can sort of turn right off the road as you approach Camp McClintock, and there's a couple of shelves on the side of the cliff there that make for interesting little camp spots. Like this. So, here is a little ramp that I've got in, because I've done a bit of work trying to figure out where I wanted the foundations first, as this is, as you can see, anything but flat. So, a little bit of practice required. So, the idea is to have this foundation just above the level of the rocks at the top there. And that worked out quite nicely. So, we'll pull that slope out in a minute, because this is going to be a two-level type camp, but obviously that high bit was the bit that we needed to work out first. So, I'll drop a couple of these down when it wants to play ball. Here we go. And that should be about right. We're going to have a 2x2 at the top there, and this will be our kind of transition section there. Just drop down. So this front one can come off now. I'm going to shove it over there out of the way for now, because this took me quite a while to figure out what I wanted to do with the kind of entrance and porch here. But some changes will have to be made up there in a bit. So, modern type build. One of the main things I often do with this is put double-sided walls on the outside so that we can have wallpaper on the outside, change up the textures we've got. So to do that, we're going to use the contemporary set, as it's the easiest one to work with for double siding. There are others that work, but not all of them work, so I'm sticking with this one as I know it works. Extra foundation on the outside so that we can build either side of the line, and then we'll put doors on back to back like this, and we get double-sided walls. Nice. So we will continue this principle all the way around. If we've got it right, we should be able to put one over on the end there. It is technically floating, that foundation, but it's a temporary guide to make things snap into place, so it does work. We're doing that all the way around the camp, so I'm sure you've got the general idea. Let's move on a bit and get a ramp in here, which will allow us to transition up to the upper area. As I say, I don't use these ramps very often. Those gaps there are not quite ideal, but it's nice to change things up once in a while. And as mentioned earlier, I want a kind of split look to this, so we need to take a couple of these walls out now we've got them in place and figure out where we want the gap. So there we go. We'll put a couple of fences across there and just make it a bit different. Now this section, I did originally plan to have up top there, but it's going to look better if it's on the inside lower section, so we're just going to drop it down next to the stairs there. Give us a little bit more room inside the main house. There's our porch that really does need some work. First, we're going to go all the way around and switch these out for plain old walls, which will now be double-sided, and I'll figure the windows out later. So it's just a case of use the store scrap replace option at the bottom there. There we go. Nice and easily. So, roofs. Basically going along the length here with a peaked roof. I've gone for the concrete one from the... it's one of the brick sets this roof came with. It was a season reward a while back, kind of a Charleston-themed one. I think it might have been a little over a year ago now, actually. Already. Time flies. But it kind of works with the modern look a little bit better than some of the other alternatives, and that's why I went for this one. So I'm going to drop a roof on there, and I'll play around with that front bit a bit. But in the end, I ended up going for a simple contemporary porch on there, because it just looked better and changed up the heights of things and stuff. So, double-sided walls and putting triangular pieces in can be awkward. However, a little bit of patience and we get that right. One drawback here, obviously, is double-siding them is a problem, so we'll change those out in a minute. We also have these two walls which stick up in a way that really doesn't look very good, so further changes required. So down at this end, back towards the porch, here's the solution to not wanting to really mess around and try and double-side triangles. It can be done, but it's a total pain to try and do. But if you've got glass triangle pieces, glass walls, they go in really nicely. They don't need doubling up, and because you're obviously not going to wallpaper them anyway. So having that little bit of extra light makes for a nice little contrast, lets some light in, and it means you don't have to mess around with trying to double up those triangles. So always a nice win if you can get it. So things coming together, looking a little bit like a barn right now, but we'll change that up in just a second. And I'm going to wall off the bottom of this ramp, and we'll take those walls out at the top because, yeah, they're not right. We'll soon fix that though. So we'll double-side again, although as it turns out, I actually didn't need these double-sided, and I went for the plain exterior by the stairs. It's alright, because it's a bit unique around there, and that worked. Well, I suppose I could have stuck double-sided and then wallpapered it with the wallpaper choice we had later, now that I'm looking at it, and that would have worked quite well. Yeah, hindsight and all that. So, going to let a little bit more light into the main house and use some more glass walls and windows up here. This is the set that came from Season 2, way back when. But it does come up on the Atomic Shop from time to time, if you're keeping an eye out for it. There is another more rustic version of this set as well that comes up on occasion too, and that is very nice too. A little bit less modern looking, but very cool as well. So, we need to close off the gaps here so we don't just fall out of the house. No pun intended. I'm going to use the white picket fences, which I don't normally do. One slight drawback here, though, although I am going to swap these out for the clean ones, because clean modern house. You can see the centre line on the foundation there by the post. I can't quite nudge this particular one far enough right to be on that. The problem is the roof just to the right there is actually blocking it. It's too low and too close to it, so taking that off solved the problem, but it took me a while to figure that out, so I'll tell you about it rather than show you about it. Save some time. So, as you can see, pulled all these extra bits off the front that I don't need because I didn't like the heights of the roofs, didn't like the heights of the walls, the angles, just it wasn't working for me. So we're going to use this contemporary porch foundation, a little bit of contrast with it, which actually works quite nicely for this build. Brings the roof over the porch down a little bit and looks quite neat. We also can't get anything wall-wise in for double walling up close to that rock face because we're just a little too close to get a foundation in as well, so it kind of works around that issue too. There we go, a little bit of contrast. I think it's about time now we put some wallpapers on this thing. Yeah, I think I like that stone one. I've not used it before. I wasn't quite sure when I started on this, but I do quite like that. It looks all right. Not that one, so we'll put this one on. We'll fly all the way around, get this on there, and then I think it's about time to head off, decorate this thing. We'll have a look around the finished product in just a sec. Okay, so there we go. A bunch of the trees came back with logging out, logging back in. Added a couple of little bits of shrubbery and stuff just to hide some of those foundations that don't look fantastic, especially as they don't match the wallpaper. Up the top, not ideal, but you can't really put brambles on those rocks anyway. It doesn't look too bad. Well, overall, I actually quite like the look of this. The brickwork there works better on the outside for me than it does on the inside of this particular wallpaper, so quite like this little look. Head on up this way a little bit. Yeah, porch adds a bit of a contrast, I feel, because it's quite light coloured and works quite nicely. Not too much out here. I wanted to be able to go down the other side as well, so no real room for benches or anything, but squeeze our vendor in there. That works quite nicely. And here we have our, kind of, garden. Ended up taking a whole bunch of the trees out for taking the thumbnail picture and added them back in afterwards, just for clarity's sake. There's also one more tree that's going to appear by the shelter entrance there once I relog, but yeah, for now, you get the gist. It looks alright. Squeezed an extra foundation just in on that side there, because getting that collectron in was proving to be a bit of a pain, so it was a practical choice. I went a few extra bits out here as well. So I had to keep it fairly simple out here. It just kind of dresses up the side of the house a bit, doesn't look too over the top. I haven't got a symptomatic in this one, and I haven't got a decon archer either, because they just kind of, they wouldn't fit and they wouldn't blend in very well, so down in the shelter if I need those. Let's head on inside. Go for a clean, cosy, homely, kind of modern-ish looking place. Not too modern on the inside, but definitely cozy. I do like this kind of style anyway, so it works alright. Bit of a one-room accommodation type vibe, apart from the crafting area out back, but I do like the look of this. Everything you need. Quite happy with how this little kitchen area came out. I tried to mix up the way I put stuff together a little bit, and it's worked okay. We managed to get that cooking station right into the corner there. and that works quite nicely. And then a couple extra bits around it just to kind of box it in, look quite nice. I'm quite pleased with that. Compact, but you can get at everything, so that's what you need. Little bit of space in the corner. More soft toys than you can shake a stick at. And use the Mothman lamp in the corner by the door there as well. That's from the current season. That thing is awesome. Looks like a miniature Mothman, basically. And makes a little kind of fluttering sound when you turn it on and off as well, which is quite cool. Love it. Very nice. Thought I'd put the owl in as well, as he just about fits by the door there. That cage is quite huge for negotiating your way around. Heading on out, we've got our crafting area. Seeing as this is the outside space, it kind of had to be the crafting area. I mean, I could have put a bedroom in here, but that would be a bit odd. A bit chilly too, I imagine. Managed to squeeze pretty much everything in here you can need for crafting. Some bit of work done on angles and mix things up a little bit. I like to have things sticking out from the walls, so in this case that worked both in terms of making it look interesting and making best use of the space as well, because it would have been a tough squeeze for everything otherwise. A couple of windows in there so you can see the view out towards the River Gorge Bridge there, which is quite nice from here. Everything we need. Nice to use a couple of bits that I don't use very often as well, like those picket fences and put a different floor texture down as well. I do wish these ramps had different textures available though. We have carpets and mosaics and all manner of things like that for the regular foundations, but the ramps seem to get forgotten about, much like the staircases, and it's a bit of a pity that. Well, head back on in. Gotta have a kitty in here somewhere. Yeah, simple and cosy this place. I kind of like it, got that nice homely vibe. You could make do with living here at any time, I like to think, and post-apocalypse this would be downright luxurious, so quite happy with that. A couple of solar panels powering the whole thing as well. The power requirements for this aren't too high either, which is nice. I'd like a few extra bits and pieces to put on tables and stuff for variety. There's some cool stuff coming up, actually. There's some stuff later in the current season that's going to be worth having for sort of surface decoration stuff, but on the whole, I think it looks okay as is. Yeah, quite a simple build, really, but just took a little bit of playing around to figure out exactly how I wanted it, and I quite like it. It's just nice, you know? It works quite well like that. I do like that a lot. I do like that brickwork on the outside. The more that I look at it, the more I think it works really nicely on the outside. There we go. So, thank you guys very much for watching. I do hope you liked this one. If you did, please do drop likes and subs and all that good stuff down below. All the other links as well. Social media links, merch store, that good stuff as well. If you want to check that out, very, very much appreciated. Channel memberships as well massively help out. As I said before, if you haven't seen the Starfield stuff that has come out recently, do check it out. I know YouTube's been a little reluctant to show that to people, so in case you missed it, I'll make sure there are links around for it. Do have a gander. And yeah, of course, more camp stuff to continue as well going forward, and loads of cool stuff coming up over the summer as well, including a bunch of cool stuff that we're going to be live streaming. So if you get the chance, do join us for those as well, 8 o'clock UK time, Monday to Friday. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.